Noise department.
I think this industry, it really does bring out the best in people, because anytime I'm a customer in a tap room or a bar, whatever, it's very, very rare that you encounter anybody that's just kind of looking around like, why am I here? What am I doing? This is like a colossal mistake and I'm not having any fun. I mean, that's just doesn't happen, you know.
This is Thirst Trap, a beverage industry podcast. And I'm your host, Tracy Bradley.
So we are on location this week for Belgian Beer Week at the Silver Stamp in Las Vegas. They've devoted the whole week to different Belgian beers, and today we are trying a Chimay Flight, which is red, white, blue, green. And I will go over exactly what is what as we taste. So, beer number one is the red. It's the Chimay Premier Belgium Double. It's 7% alcohol. It's got that nice, delicate, lower alcohol nose on it. That is heaven, especially on a hot summer day. Wow. So it's Belgium. I'm getting a lot of malty notes on there. It's just a really stand-up beer. You can't really go wrong with Chimay beers. All right. Next is the white. And this is the Chimay 5 Cents, which is a Belgian triple, and it's 8%. Again, that clean Belgian crispy nose. Okay, so this is a Belgian triple versus the red, which was a Belgian double. Got the triple here, and so it's got a little more malt, a little more hops. And kudos for the Silver Stamp for doing this in August, because this is wonderful on a hot summer day. Next we have the blue, which is the Chimay Grand Reserve. This is a 9%, and this is a Belgium Dark Strong Ale. Okay, so this is a lot heavier. This is not exactly ideal for a hot summer day, I'm not gonna lie, because it's a heavy, it's strong, it's bold, it's dark. However, that being said, this is not as strong and bold and dark as, say, a Guinness or a Stout, or even a Porter, for that matter. This is just a strong, dark Belgian ale, and that's okay. Almost similar to like a German Dunkel, but more. Okay, is a Dunkel's kind of up here, and this is a little down here. You know what I'm saying? All right, that one is 9%. Then we have the fourth one, which is the Chimay Saint-Kent. I don't speak Belgian. I apologize. So this is the Chimay Saint-Kent. It's a Belgian strong golden versus the Belgian strong dark that we just had. And this one is all the way up to a 10%. But it looks clean and lovely for a hot summer day. Okay. If used inappropriately, that one will singe your eyebrows off. No jokes. So I'm gonna say for the weather that we're having here in Las Vegas today, it's very humid. I was looking for something a little more crisp. I would go with the first and second choices. Out of the four, I like all four of them. But for this weather, definitely the red or the white, not the blue and not the green. All stand-up choices, just not for the humidity that we're having right now. You catch my drift? So I'll just go back to the red and enjoy myself. Cheers.
All right, everybody. Well, hello, and welcome to Thirst Trap. Today's guest is our first male guest. See, I promised it wasn't just all about the ladies. So we've got Tony Wyman here, and Tony is also a dear friend of the podcast, people.
Oh,
So, I covered Belgian Beer Week from Silver Stamp yesterday, and Tony is my beer connoisseur friend, but Tony does not like Belgian beers. So Tony,
I wouldn't say I would loathe them, but
you just said you just they're not your cup of tea. So what is it about it that isn't your cup of tea, Tony?
Well, hello everybody. So first and foremost, I would say that they are a little more of like forward on the yeast, forward on that earthy, grassy kind of thing. I'm always reminded of like a rainy day and you're like stuck in a barn when I smell them or taste them.
Yeah,
they have a very like dewy, damp,
distinct,
freshly cut hay smell and taste to them. I don't know. That's where my palate goes. I mean, but God bless us all for having different palates.
Right. And so yesterday after my tasting, because I did a flight, and I found them to be maltier, and also as far as you and I hanging out, it's not a traditional a 4% like a porch pounder. These are like significant. I mean, we had a 10% yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. That might be more of an experimental side as far as my palate would go, I guess.
Yeah.
A really boozy Belgian beer.
It was I mean, that one, if used inappropriately, it will singe your eyebrows up. So it was the Belgian Strong Golden.
Okay, so they actually designated as a strong on their menu, which of course they should.
Yeah.
Another thing that kind of sets them apart as far as the dislike of them is the spiciness. I like spicy food. I like spicy drinks, but there's also certain spices. When you think of the word spice, most people's mind goes to, oh, that hot sauce, oh, that pepper, oh, that, degree of heat, blah, blah, blah. But no, it's actually, it's more of a spice like you would find in a typical kitchen, just something like a subtle spice. But at the same time, that's why Belgians, to me, stand out is they've got like a very, like I said a little while ago, just that earthy, grainy, but they also have that element of like a cooking spice.
So what sets Belgians apart is that. Exactly. That is exactly that. Because, they don't, even though they are sandwiched in the middle of France and Germany, right there.
The motherland.
Yes. The motherland. They don't follow the German purity laws at all.
Right.
Which is your 4 basics in beer. And they've always gone a little outside of the box, and added fruit and different spices and different flavors to make it what they wanted. So
of all the regions of Europe, which of course so many of beers that we appreciate and love today are rooted there as far back as centuries and centuries ago. But what's fascinating to me is that you have certain regions that are just so associated with certain beers, but at the same time you can have like a saison, for example, or a double that could be taken on characteristics of the soil and the earth, and there's everything like the water supply, just everything that's in that region. And then you could go, 20 miles, 30 miles, kilometers, another direction and have the same style of beer, but with just a totally different attitude behind it, just because of the soil. I mean, where the sources of the ingredients.
And I mean, German beers are completely different than Belgian beers, and they're right next to each other.
That's right.
They're right.
Yeah, I do appreciate the strict adherence to some of these really, really old, like the founding fathers, so to speak, of beer in the region, where Germany, of course, best example comes to mind. They just really, really adhere to those laws. And I admire that because, that means that they respect their art and their craft. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to live there and only have their beer because I don't think that they're prone to so much experimentation like we are in the States. So I don't know. It would still be a fun trip.
Oh, absolutely.
I need to practice my Stein lifting before I head over there, actually.
Okay, so right now you are a beer tender.
Times 2, yeah. I occupy space at 2 breweries here in town, tap rooms.
So what are you doing?
So I'm at Astronomy Ale Works in Henderson, here in Las Vegas. Been there closing in on a year. My background in beer, of course, predates, being a beer tender, but for the first time in my life, I am actually behind the counter and actually get to recommend beers and talk beer with the customers, which I find to be never-endingly interesting. It never gets boring. It always remains fascinating because people just have so many any which way to branch off when they're talking about beer and their tales they've experiences they've had traveling the world, and that's kind of fascinating to me. Is getting to hear everyone's take, or even like, oh, I taste strawberry in this, and no one else has said that except they do. But yeah, astronomy has been fantastic to me. I've been there, like I said, about a year now.
And I still haven't gone to visit you there.
Oh, well.
Sorry.
So yeah, I am only there on Sundays, but I also recently got hired at Craft House, which is here in town, 2 locations. The brewery tap room in Henderson is the original. It's about 9 years old now. Also location in the Arts District downtown, right off of Main Street on a little road called California. Mm-hmm. That's just strictly a tap room, but it's very, very lovely, very well laid out and decorated, and quite charming and quite fun. And it's in a fun area. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm very, very blessed to have what I have as far as this field, this career. Yes.
You mastered something recently at the Craft House. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah. So for all you people out there that have never had a slow pour, apparently this is not just reserved to Pilsners, but the beer that I have recently been educated and taught to pour as a slow pour is a Czech Pilsner, which is available at Craft House. And it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's something that you don't just walk up and get your beer. You will not get this beer handed to you in a 10, 15, 20-second window. It's something that starts off as about a 3/4 pour in a 12-ounce glass. And that kind of just sits there and settles for a little bit. You kind of leave it alone for about a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes. You return to the handle, and then you give it a little tug, but you don't really hold it, keep it long. You basically throw on some foam to the top for about roughly 5 or 6 seconds of real time. Walk away again, 45 seconds, 50 seconds later, you do it again. By that point, you have what looks like an ice cream cone in your hand, if properly poured. And it's a good amount of foam, but that's kind of where the magic is with a beer like that. You get a lot more, your senses can definitely pick up the difference. You get a crisper, tangier feel on your tongue, definitely more of a flavor effect. But mostly on the nose, you definitely get more of an aroma and array of the ingredients of the beer itself. But you also just get that really cool looking glass. I mean, it's just a really, really fun. You almost feel like you're being treated to something, top notch or top shelf. Like, hey, thanks for pouring this for me. I didn't know, you thought of me that well. Something like that. Like you feel like you're getting something really, really special, and it's kind of fun to drink. All beer's fun to drink, but this particular is. Also, it turns out you can pretty much slow pour just about every style. It's really just a matter of timing, angle, speed. You don't want to open the handle like full blown because you're just getting way too much pressure behind it, which is just going to be a foam bomb. It's a science, I guess, a little bit. There's an art. That's why I appreciate the people that make beer so much. To me, they're magicians. It's amazing to start out with just these simple, ordinary items and just turn it into just something that just gathers everyone together and makes everyone just so happy and breaks the ice and forms friendships. I'm looking at one right now. I met you when you were pouring for Wasatch, actually, at a Lee's Beer Experience. Oh. I want to say 9 or 10, maybe even longer years ago. Yeah. I didn't get to meet you that day, but I met you. Mm-hmm. And the story continued on. I'm like, oh, that one lady that worked at the Wasatch, wasn't she fun? Yeah, she was like the toast of the town. Everyone loved her, blah, blah, blah. Aww. I didn't know that one day I would be friends with that person. So that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, we're friends. Is there anything else you'd like to talk to us about today? Or
beer.
Are you good?
Yeah, beer.
Yeah, we just like beer.
Styles of beer that you like.
Okay,
I know you like your sours.
For me, so. It's I do. I like a nice tart, fruity sour. Mm-hmm. That's my jam. I will do that all day. Mm-hmm. I also really love ciders. I love ciders. But I mean, for me, it's all about weather. Mm-hmm. If it's really, really hot, I'm not ordering a Guinness.
It is so interesting when people reference the weather and what styles they will drink and will not. I hear it all the time. It's fascinating to me. I just think it comes down to you just associate stout with like the darkness and the like a thickness, and you just instantly get like, ooh, I'm a little sweaty under the collar. You know?
That's a winter one for me.
But then you wouldn't avoid a pale ale, would you necessarily in winter?
No, okay. I would not. No, so summertime for me, I give me a good lawn mowing beer any day of the week. I would even settle for a PBR.
Oh, okay. Would you say PBR was like maybe your like gateway? Because I always associate that with college. You know, everyone.
My gateway beer.
Yeah, like what got you out of the corporate stuff into even though it's technically corporate, everyone has this love affair with PBR.
So my grandpa
college years usually.
My grandpa drank PBR. My grandpa Ernie.
Grandpa Ernie and his PBR.
Grandpa Ernie and his PBR, and then he graduated to MGD. He got very fancy in the 80s, and he was MGD. In high school, there was a lot of Schaefer involved.
Oh God, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
My first microbrew, I guess, that they used to call it, was in the 90s, visiting my in-laws in Eugene, Oregon. Hi, Loretta. Hi, Brent.
Good area for beer, for sure. At least now.
Pyramid Hefeweizen was my very first, and that was it for me. I was sold. I said, what is this flavor? I think they put an orange in it. Mm-hmm. Was it an orange? It wasn't a lemon. It was a lemon or an orange, some citrus.
Right.
And and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And that was it for me. After that, good beer. I only want good beer. No, I don't want Coors. I don't want any of this. And and then came back here from vacation, hanging out with friends, and then we got into like Killian's Irish Red and just these really fun beers. I was a beer snob from there on out. I think that was 1990.
You shed your skin in
1993.
Okay, yeah, I'm not that far behind you. Mine was about 90. Mine would have been about 96, and it was Sam Adams Boston Lager. Uh-huh. And what amazed me and still does is how you'll watch people come in and out of like a 7-Eleven or just a Circle K, whatever. And it's always, the big pack of, Bud or Coors under their arm, or, it's yeah. Corona, or, something that you just can find anywhere, even the smallest of bars. And what kind of amazed me back then was like, how come I never see anybody walking out with that Sam Adams, whatever that is, or that Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, like whatever that is, not really wanting to learn and experiment back then. But once I got a hold of a Sam Adams Boston Lager, that was when my eyes opened. And then I remember like checking out their website or whatever it was, and seeing like all their available styles. And a lot of them I'd never even heard of. I didn't even know what a Bock was back then. They're like, oh, we have a triple Bock. I'm like, what the heck's a triple Bock? So like from there, you want to like research, learn, not be just beer ignorant, and then still appreciate what you're drinking and enjoy your drinking and have no knowledge of it.
You wanted the knowledge.
I did. And that's where it all started. And I've always been invested everywhere I go. I don't want to just sit down and drink beer. I want to like get a little more backstory to even the people behind it. And thank God, because I've met incredible people here in Vegas that I consider very long-standing friends. And they're all owners and managers and brewers and beer tenders. And yeah, they're incredible people. I'm not just saying that because I now am one, but for all those years, that's where, I'm like, I knew it was going to culminate in me eventually like leaving the casino business and getting into this. And
if anyone is fortunate enough to get to do something that they love as a career,
right,
please do it. Totally. I highly recommend.
I should have done it a long time ago.
5 out of 5 stars.
You're absolutely right. It's so true. Especially as you start getting a little older. So it's something that I should have done a long time ago. I feel like I probably had the means to and just didn't really know I did. And I stayed in a job where, and this one over here, the husband can attest, it was like I'd come home and I would just kind of like stare off into space. I'm just like, I need to change my life. It was getting a little too common and often that I was thinking that.
You had to decompress, get out of that headspace that you had at work. And
right. Yeah, it was something that you just carried with you when you got home. Get up in the middle of the night.
You can't do that.
And it's just right there.
Life's too short.
Yeah. Yeah. I really should have done it a long time ago. But like I said, I'm very fortunate to have what I have now, for sure. I love it.
I'm so glad. See, and I can say that I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely 100%.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm finally at a point in my life where I love what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just adding to it by doing this podcast.
Right.
And
your intro, you touched on that on the couple episodes that you already recorded, of how far reaching your resume is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you haven't just been a sales rep. You've really dabbled in so much. I think that's fascinating because that really opens you up to everything from water all the way up to the most rare, expensive whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everything in between.
Yep. I have knowledge of all of that now. I mean, I started in grocery and then energy drinks. Red Bull. Red Bull was my life for a very long time.
Did it give you wings, that job, or?
No.
God, forgive me, everybody.
I can't say that it did. However, it did give me experience, and it gave me the knowledge of sales. It gave me sales experience and knowledge and friends that I'm still friends with today that I've met in Red Bull.
Yeah. I think this industry, not to sound too cheesy, but I think it really does bring out the best in people, because anytime I'm a customer in a tap room or a bar, whatever, it's very, very rare that you encounter anybody that's just kind of looking around like, why am I here? What am I doing? This is like a colossal mistake and I'm not having any fun. I mean, that's just doesn't happen, you know. But especially when you go into a tap room and, you know, you're surrounded by people that are like visiting from out of town, and they want to usually start out with a flight because they want to experience, you know, 4 things at once, 5 things at once, which, you know, sensory overload. Go for it. You're on vacation. You're traveling. Wouldn't you say, though, that that's true, though? It's like when you find yourself surrounded by just people just out for that reason. I mean, they're really like, maybe it's a wine bar. Maybe it's, you know, a tequila bar, whatever it could be. It's you don't really encounter anything but just people opening up their minds to new things. And along with that comes the best in people. You actually can talk to people that you would normally just, you know, walk past on the street. You don't have a reason to stop and talk. But yeah, I find it to be such a fascinating field because it's not just an amazing beverage, beer, what I'm specifically referring to, but it really does open up, you know, people's inhibitions. And I don't mean the liquid courage thing. I'm not talking.
No.
You're like, oh, where are you from? And then
I think we're way past the liquid courage phases in our lives.
We definitely are. Yeah.
I mean, I know I am for sure, but but then again, I've never needed that.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a problem talking to people or getting up enough nerve.
Mm-hmm.
I'm full of nerve.
You have a lot of nerve.
I have a lot of nerve.
That Tracy, you got a lot of nerve.
She's got a lot of nerve. All
yes,
right.
you do.
Well, thank you for stopping by today, Tom.
Absolutely. It was lovely.
Yeah.
I had a ball.
I'm Tracy Bradley, and that's the Thirst Trap Podcast, produced and edited by Gonzo Greg Spillane for Noise Department. Our theme music is composed and performed by Jose Torres. Please like and subscribe wherever you enjoy your podcasts, and share with your friends and associates in the beverage industry, or anybody who drinks things. You can always visit and contact me at thirsttrappodcast.com, and you can find links to all the socials there as well. Till next time, cheers!